Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fish Tank. Now, if you've been following our recent series, we've been making decks with only a specific rarity of cards. We've done common only, rare only, supreme only, and the only thing left is to do a legendary only deck. Does that mean it's going to be the best deck in the game? Unlikely. The way cards and rarities work in Minion Masters, the higher the rarity, the more kind of unique the card is. It doesn't necessarily mean it's stronger than other cards. We do know that a lot of the basic cards, the common and rare cards, are very, very strong and do great work in a multitude of decks. And with the very uniqueness that comes with legendary cards, sometimes really the best way to utilize them is to build a deck around that specific card. So you have a card that has a particular mechanic, and then you build around it to get the best out of that. That doesn't work so well when we're just going to shoehorn a bunch of legendaries in. So we're going to need to think about how we can best utilize that. So let's have a look and see what we can come up with. So we're going to play a Stormbringer deck. And remember, as always, if you go to your search bar and type in legendary, it'll show you all your legendaries. So we have a bunch of them to choose from. And one of the things that I found somewhat difficult is we don't have a great deal of legendary removal spells. As we looked at the less rare, options, we had more removals options. But here we didn't seem to have quite so many. So let's have a look at what we've put in this deck. Right, so the Screaming Scrat. This is a great guy, great bridge control, good anti-horde on the grounds, and he's really good at taking the bridge, especially now that the bridge has changed and they're more difficult to take. So I see a lot of people play Screaming Scrat and they misplay it. This is a really powerful card, but you've got to play it correctly. You've got to learn how far he can taunt things, how fast other units will be with regards to running after it, and how quickly things will kill it, and things like that. And that allows you to not only take a bridge, but also get some damage off as well. So a very powerful card. Looks very simple, but it actually does require some coordination to get the best value out of it. Right, Hypnotize. Here we go. Not a card we see too often, but a card that can get some value. It will force the enemies to attack each other for a small period of time. Right, Jing Long. This guy is going to give us some anti-air. He's going to give us some flying presence. And if we utilize him with our spells, then we can potentially get some shocking re-entries and some stun value from him. Next up, we have Jolo. Now, Jolo is a fairly simple legendary, but this is probably one of the most common legendaries. Did get nerfed in the most recent patch, where his loss of dodge per dodge went up to 15% instead of 10%, but he still has that 100% chance to avoid any incoming damage to start with, unless it's true damage, of course, or he is stunned. So still a really, really good legendary. And if you're desperate to craft yourself a legendary, you will not go wrong with Jolo. Next up, we have the Veilstalker. So she's going to give us some anti-horde capabilities. Can be tricky for people to deal with, of course, with regards to her going in stealth. So can get some good value out of her. Next up, we have the Musketeer. So this guy is going to be great for anti-melee. Can, of course, solo a Colossus, for example, because of his riposte with his deflect. And just a decent body, not particularly tanky, but some good DPS and a melee-based DPS. Next up, we have the Wheel of Doom. So this is a real fun spell. This was either the first or the second legendary I ever got, I think. I think Bara may have been my first. Wheel of Doom was my second. So this is going to be our removal spell. But of course, it can be blocked. If it hits something that it doesn't destroy with its 2 lots of 150 damage, then it will be blocked and it will fail to continue. But if we pay attention to the unit health bars and we play it appropriately, perhaps we can get some good value out of it. Hopefully we don't hit any of our own minions. One thing to remember is it does do friendly fire. Right, next up we have Feng the Wanderer. So Feng, of course, has this ability where he gets these positive effects for whatever cards are in your hand based on their faction. So Accursed gives Spirit, Crystal Elf, Mana Surge, Empyrean Taunt, etc, etc, etc. So depending on what you have in your hand, you can get some extra value on him. And what you get, because it depends on your hand, that can really change as the game goes. when you build your deck, you might have an ideal setup, but you might not necessarily always be able to achieve that. And then finally we have Zipp's Zappinator. This is a nice range minion. It is kind of a noob destroyer card because if you do play into it, you can get punished. It does, of course, have its weaknesses with regards to once units get on top of it, once Horde kind of swarms it, it is going to get punished. But it's definitely a strong card. It is slow, so it does loiter around on bridges. It does force you to maybe commit away on a different lane for a while. And it does have the ability, so we can power it up to shred things if necessary. Now, just a moment to talk about the master we're playing. We're playing Stormbringer, so Stormbringer will help buff our ranged minions. So there's a few ranged minions that we've got that will get that buff. And of course, his auto attack can be fairly useful. Right, so there we have it, a legendary only deck. Let me know in the comments what you think, and let's have a look at this deck in action. Okay, here's our legendary only deck. Stormbringer and Ratbow against Diona and Mordor. Again, I'm bottom right of your screen with regards to the cards. I'm going for the high five. Nobody has it yet, but later on in the season, a lot of people should have it, hopefully from the Battle Pass. So teammate looks like he's playing an Empyrean deck. And here, my eyes lit up a bit here with this Wheel of Doom. What do we get? We got a Raged Assassin, probably Brothers of the Void. We got a Frost Bearer, and we got the Cage Prowler. That's the kind of value we like. Right, Zipp can do a great job into the Colossus or any of those big units there. The Hypnotize, because the Colossus's attack is really slow, it didn't actually get a Hypnotized attack off, but it did kind of allow it to walk away from us a bit and keep it aggroed on something else other than us. So I think it's still got some okay value there. And we've kind of gone in here. We've got a heal, so let's just keep going. Zipp Zappinator. It's going to go down eventually, but it stayed alive for a long time. And look at that XP. That just loitered around on that bridge so long. It's that lovely Ratbow skin sound with the cannon. Something invisible spawned at the bottom there, so we do need to handle that with care. Musketeer's great with the riposte, deflecting that incoming damage, jumping back. That's a little trick you can do with the Musketeer. Jump back and grab the bridge. I could tell that his Daka wasn't going to kill that, so I Wheel of Doomed it quickly before it got on the bridge. So XP's looking great for us right now. Right, Doom Cleaver's out. Now I tried to Hypnotize the Doom Cleaver here, but I was either a little unlucky or probably just a little late. Now you might think, well, why would you bother doing that? There's nothing there for it to attack. Well, there's a Tombstone there, and a Hypnotized Minion will attack a friendly building. And if we could have got him to hit that Tombstone, that would have been great. Shock Rock on the Tombstone. Mentioned that in one of my previous videos. It's a real good way of shutting down Mordor value. You can see there was no res from the Tombstone there. It did have to recharge. It may recharge and res again, but it doesn't have much HP at this point. So if something reses like that Doom Cleaver, look, it's got under half its regular HP. So that's some decent value from that Shock Rock. We know that I'm terrible at dealing with the Prowler. Wheel of Doom clears the top lane, and we are solidly ahead on XP at the moment. Mordor, a very strong late game master, so it can always come back. Getting some good value out of Lady Infray there. We would like another piercing shot. Remember, every third shot of hers is piercing. If you stun her, it does reset that counter, so she can do one shot, two shots, and then you stun her and she needs to go 1, 2, and then 3 again. Right, GG's already dropped by the opponents. Fireball on face, not exactly what they want. Have they given up? Is our legendary only deck just far too strong for anyone to handle? And by anyone, I mean these two specific people that I beat. It seems like it, so bit of a disappointing end to it. But they're still in it, they're still playing, they're still spawning. Hypnotize again there, just holds it up, forces it to kill the gnats, takes its shield off, takes a little bit of damage. Divine Warrior is so good against the Doom Cleaver there. DPS just shredding it. And the Zipp Zappinator going ham. Our sniper at the bottom, Stixie's already locked on face. It's going to do 100 damage every time. That's going to kill them if nothing else kills them. But there's plenty more else to kill them. There we go. What a legendary victory. And there we have it. Our legendary only deck getting a nice win out there on the 2v2 randoms ladder. One of my favourite game modes. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. Which deck did you think was strongest? We made a deck with common only cards, rare only cards, supreme only cards, and of course legendary only cards. I feel like none of those are the best way to go. As we got more rare, the decks felt kind of more awkward, but we got some wins with all of them, so I'm fairly happy with that. And it just goes to show that you can win with any sort of rarities of cards. It's not about what cards you have, it's far more about how you use them, what value you get out of them. Are you doing damage to, are you killing minions? Are you taking bridges? Are you denying them from taking bridges? Are you doing face damage? There's so many different factors when it comes to whether you're getting value out of the cards that you play, and that value can change wildly just depending on very small differences on where and when you decide to play these cards. Anyway, I had a lot of fun putting this selection of decks together and making these videos for you. Hope you enjoyed them. Again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want to join us here in the fish tank. I'm Bad as Fish, and I'll see you guys again soon.